Hello, my amazing artists. Are you ready to create? Here we go. Let's do our motto first. Repeat after me. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Okay, boys and girls, so today we're going to talk a little bit about patterns, and then we're going to make some patterns on a piece of paper. So before we get started, I'm going to use a little sheet of paper and we're going to talk about what patterns are, okay? So patterns are just an object that repeats itself over and over, and it's the same thing. So we're going to use some patterns today to decorate a piece of paper, and yours is actually going to be really big like this. But I'm going to start with my little paper and show you some different patterns you can use, and Miss Bridges will put these up so you can see them while you're working. And you're welcome to use the same pattern, because on your piece of paper there's going to be 28 squares, and you're going to have to fill all of them with patterns. So if you want to use the same pattern a couple of different times, you can. All right, so here we go. I'm going to use a marker. So here's just some patterns you can use, and before you watch this, if you want to pause it and talk about patterns, and you can raise your hand and give Miss Bridges some different patterns that you know or you can think of, that's fine too. So we could do a striped pattern, and I'm going to change colors each time, and that's a horizontal stripe. You could also do a vertical stripe. Okay, you could do stripes vertical and horizontal. So this is horizontal, and then go on top of it with vertical, so it kind of makes squares. Okay, you could do hearts if you know how, big ones, little ones. You could do them all the same size, whatever you want. You could do flowers. I'm going a little bit fast, but remember, I've been doing this a long time, so I know what I'm doing, and I can go fast. I want you to go slow and take your time on this. You could do circles. I'm doing all different sizes. You could do them the same size, or you could even do polka dots. Polka dots and circles are close to the same thing. Polka dots are just filled in, whereas circles are not. All right, now that we're on some shapes, you could do triangles, all different ways and sizes. Remember, a pattern is just the same thing that repeats itself. And we want to make sure when we do our patterns in our squares, we fill up the whole square like I'm doing now. Okay, what about, let's see. Oh, triangles. What about squares? You could do squares. You could even do rectangles. And you could do squares inside of squares to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm going to fill it in. I want to get as many as I can in that spot. The more you have in each square, the better it's going to look at the end. Okay, let's see. What about different kinds of lines? You could just do a zigzag pattern. If you want to get a little fancy, you could add some dots in there with your zigzags too. That makes it look a little bit more fun, right? You could do a wavy line pattern, or you could do wavy, straight, wavy, straight, wavy, like that. And you could do that with anything. You could do zigzag, straight, zigzag, straight, zigzag. We could do straight, circle, 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 straight, circle, 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 straight. You just kind of have to use your imagination and think of different things. Let's see. Oh, you could do dash, 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 straight, dash, 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 straight. That's a pattern. Okay. You could even do all these going up and down instead of sideways too. Let's do this one. I like this one. Oh, I didn't change colors. That's okay. I'm doing wavy lines, but in the middle of them, I'm going to do some dots. Dots are fun to add in these. They make it a little bit more fun to look at. Okay, so here's some different patterns, and I'm going to let Miss Bridges put these up for you. These are not the only ones you have to use. If you can think of another pattern, you can use it too, but she'll have these up so you can look at them. Okay, so you're going to get your large sheet of paper. It already has your lines printed on it for you. What you want to do is make sure you write your name and your number on the back first. Okay? Then we're going to take markers, and just like we did with this little sheet of paper, we're going to fill in each square with a different pattern and a different color. Okay? I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to fast forward it as I'm doing it because it's going to take me a minute. There's 28 squares. Miss Bridges will probably give you about 15 or 20 minutes to do this part so that we can do the next part too. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to start up here. And I'm going to start with red, and I'm going to do a few different red patterns all around before I change colors. And remember, you can repeat patterns if you want to. I don't want all my reds right next to each other, so I'm going to kind of move them around. Oh, I forgot to show you this one. Diagonal.
Look how I'm filling up each square. I'm not leaving a lot of white space, and you're going to see why you don't want to leave a lot of white space in just a minute.
Okay, I have filled up every square with a pattern. Not all of them are different. Some of them are the same. And as you can see, each square has the same color inside the square, but I used a different color for each one. Don't use two colors in the same square, and you're gonna see why in just a second, okay? Make sure you use the same color in one square, and then you can switch. And you can see how I took a color and used it around in different spots, and then I got another color, used it around until I had filled up the whole thing. That way it's all really bright and colorful, okay? Now we have to get done with this because the next thing we're going to do is we're gonna use water and we're gonna paint our marker. So these markers are called washable because if you get them wet, they will bleed. So we're gonna use the bleeding on these to actually paint with these markers. And we've done this before, but it might have been a while. And we're gonna paint this whole thing with the markers, okay? So you're gonna need a water and a paintbrush. And you're gonna wanna do one color at a time. So whatever color you have here, do all of those first before you clean your brush and do another color, okay? And I would start with yellow before your brush and your water get yucky. So I'm gonna get my brush wet, and all I'm gonna do is wet that marker. And yellow is a little bit harder to see because it's so light, but when I get the marker wet, it bleeds on my paper. And like I said, yellow is not the best one to be able to see, especially on camera, but I am still gonna do it because when it dries, I'll be able to see it a little bit better. And then when I get done with yellow, I'm gonna pick a different color. I would normally probably pick orange, but I don't have any orange. I didn't use orange. So I'm just gonna start with red, and that way you'll be able to see the bleeding. You see how the marker is bleeding onto the white, and it's no longer white, it looks almost pink. That's what we're going for. And I'm gonna do all the reds before I switch to a new color. Now you do want water, you don't want puddles of water because I don't want it dripping everywhere, and I don't want the colors to mix together because then they'll turn brown. That's why I'm doing all of my reds before I switch to another color. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward as I do this. Okay, now it's all painted. You can tell that I bled on everything. Some colors bleed better than others. Pink, yellow, the lighter colors you can't see as well. Now in person you can see them. The colors that work really good are blue, green, purple, red. Those work really good when you're bleeding. All right, this is all we're gonna do today. So when you get done doing this, we're gonna let it dry, and then next week we're gonna add our letters onto it because it's going to be the alphabet. The water part should not take us very long at all, and you can see when I was using the water, I was getting more water every time, and I was kind of going in circles like I'm scrubbing them a little bit. You have to kind of move them around a little bit to get that color to move around and bleed. But there are no puddles. It is wet, but there are no puddles on my paper. All right, have fun, boys and girls.